Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 135 of Kouryer podcast. As you can see, yes, the setting is different, and I'm just saying this bit twice because we did a recording and it was corrupted. So yeah, there's a new thing to this recording actually now by telling you this. And yeah, I'm in my buddy's place, Arman Shahzamani. He's a chess coach in Turkey, and you can take classes with him. And compared to your American economy, it's going to be way cheaper for you. So yeah, I mean, bad economy for us, good opportunity for you. So yeah, there's that. I'm gonna put his link of his page in the captions. And also, well, let's jump into today's guest. Not jump on today's guest. Jesus, you get the point. And our today's guest is Mr. Adrian Bush. He's an environment concept artist working at Riot Games, and he did a lot of works on the different projects of Riot Games, and also some of his own personal projects that is on ArtStation as well. And I'm going to put the link of that in the description as well. We're going to talk about them in this episode. So yeah. And let's jump into the first question, which I do with every guest usually. Tell us about how you got into the world of visual arts and development in the first place.
Yeah. So I guess most people have the same story when they talk about how they got into like illustration or concept art. It's usually like they were drawing stuff as a kid. You draw weird stuff as a kid, and it just kind of carries through. I feel like I'm like that. I just drew weird stuff when I was in school as a kid, but then one day I Googled cyborg beluga because I wanted to see a robot beluga whale when I was in 6th grade. And I saw this really creepy drawing by a concept artist named Keith Thompson that kind of opened my eyes to this world of weirdness. And then I started looking at art books, and I would go to Barnes and Noble after school and read through a bunch of art of books for films. And I got really into the whole production art thing just because it felt really cool to see art as like a storytelling tool that was just a stepping stone. Like it was just like the art doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be like refined or like fine art. It's just all about the story. And I thought that was so cool and like really empowering. I think I just followed through with that.
Wow, that's actually so interesting. Those stories when people just randomly try to look for something, but they fall into it like deeper rabbit hole.
Right.
That's actually kind of super similar to my story as well. Yeah,
yeah?
I once Googled my name, and the name concept art of an artist came up that had the same name at first name as me, and I kind of like initially just found the whole world of concept art, and I was like, is this like a whole world of jobs here? Like,
right. It totally blows your mind at first, right? It's like, what? How? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And just a fun fact, I think the two days ago that we tried to record, but unfortunately my laptop got into a problem. I didn't have this much beard, but now I'm just noticing like I have a way like my like face is packed like compared to.
Dude.
Yeah, that's I have a genetic condition called being Middle Eastern. So those you.
Oh, cool.
No, dude, I'm making a joke like a genetic condition called being Middle Eastern. Because
I'm sorry, I missed that. Sorry, I missed the joke.
Yeah, you were like,
oh God.
Yeah,
I wish I could grow more full facial hair, but whatever.
Yeah, Italian genes also work really well, I heard.
Oh yeah? God. Yeah. Lucky.
All right. So the next thing I want to actually ask you is, those when you're 17, 18, years old, those are the years that are like super, like, critical, and important, in your life. Those are the times, think about your future, what do you want to become, what do you want to do with your life, with your time.
Yeah.
So at that time, did you know you wanted to become a full-time artist, or were there other plans? Like maybe you thought that wasn't a stable route, so you were deciding on different things. So I was
I was going down a completely different path. When I was graduating high school, I was studying composition, like music composition, because I wanted to compose film scores. That was like my dream. I wanted to do that and then do art on the side. But I wanted to find a way that I could do both in college. So when I was applying to colleges, I was looking for one where I could do a double major in illustration and music composition. And weren't a lot of options for that. So like the one college I ended up going to, it was kind of a compromise I had to make, where they were like, we've got a music program, but we also have a fine art program, but we don't really have illustration. I was like, that's okay. I'm more interested in music anyway. But then I got there and they kind of dropped me from the music program. They didn't hook me up with the manager of the music program. And I was like, it's just art now. I kind of flip flopped, and I was originally going to go all in on music and then do art on the side. And then I ended up doing the opposite. So I went all in on art and kept doing music on the side. And I just kind of let them inspire each other. Without, I didn't want to like leave one behind. Yeah. And that was, like 17 and 18. That was like all turmoil, just like flip flopping back and forth. Like, I want to do art. So I applied to a bunch of art schools, and I was like, but I want to do music. So then I had to like cut it down to only the ones that had the double major. And then it wasn't worth it because they just cut the music anyways. And I was like, oh, should have just done the art thing. But, it worked out. So.
All right. Awesome. And the next thing I need to ask you is like, as I said in the introduction, your main branch of design is right now environment design. You're doing environment concept art, at the studio. And I wanted to ask, because since I saw on your art station a lot of different type of projects, and I was wondering what led you the path to actually pick environment art as your main, basically forte.
I think it's kind of it's not that environment art is my forte. It's like I like to have it split. So what I do at work, I can challenge one discipline, and then what I do in my personal work, I can challenge another. So my right now at Riot Games, what I do is a lot of technical environment art. That's all like production drawing stuff. So I'm just doing, line art and like perspective drawings and some drawovers for 3D stuff. It's very like technically oriented. It's just about explaining myself to the 3D artists. But then, after I get off work, I have this whole other part of my brain to explore with characters and storytelling and world building stuff and more illustration, where I don't have to worry about like making diagrams and like making sure that a 3D artist can understand it. It's just kind of me expressing myself. So my art station is kind of a mix of both. But a lot of the time, I've only just started mainly doing environment concept art as my professional thing. But at my last job at a studio called Ready at Dawn, it was like I kind of did a bit of everything. It was like any kind of request they had for me, I would be able to take it. And I found that I had more fun doing the character stuff on my own time and doing the environment stuff for work. It was just felt like they aligned more in those two categories. Like the technical drawing stuff for environments felt very like, I can do this all day, at like a desk in an office. But the character stuff that was like expressive and emotive and kind of experimental, I was like, I need to do that on my own, like not for somebody else's project, but kind of from my own head and for my own stuff.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually such a smart move to do, because actually, like, a fun thing to anyone who's listening or watching, like everyone on their art station bio, they have this like 2, 3, like one or big one paragraphs about their experience and work. And if you go to Adrian Bush's art station, it's just 3 words: world builder and storyteller. That's actually amazing. That's it. Like it explains everything you just said, like in short.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it's good to be able to just like swap between them, and it helps with burnout too. You don't get burnt out as much if it's like you can take a break from one thing to be more expressive on another thing, or like, if I'm getting too like, oh, I'm getting so frustrated over this one piece that I've reworked 1,000 times in my own time, and I can just be like, I know how to do this simple, technical environment stuff, and I can just jam on that and turn my brain off for a bit. It's like you can go back and forth, and it gets like healthy exercise everywhere instead of just like only doing one thing all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of like environment works, it's my next question is how does your design process usually look like when you're working on a project? Let's say, for example, an environment Like, I don't know, the art director gives you like, and some notes say, all right, I want this type of environment, this type of stuff happening, this type of mood and colors and everything.
Yeah.
From then point on, or like, that's the studio side of things, or maybe if you're doing for a personal project for yourself, just in general, how does your design process look like when you want to, from an idea to finished piece in an environment piece, for example, environment?
I think it's different for work and for my own personal stuff. For work, usually it's like a ton of research. Like my main goal usually is to try to get everything that the art director and game designers, whoever is involved with the initial pitch. My main goal is to try to take everything they want and find the most interesting angle I can for it. So like go to the weirdest place that my brain can go to. If somebody gives me an assignment that's like, we're doing a mushroom forest, right? Like my brain immediately, I'm like, I have to go to the weirdest place I can so we can make something that stands out, right? And so it always starts with research, and like doing research is so important because I can always find something that is way weirder than what I thought by like going down rabbit holes, right? You just go down rabbit holes and you'll start picking up things that you're like, ooh, I can see how this feels this neat. If they need those long like stalks or whatever, maybe there's some fungus I could find that has this weird look. It doesn't quite look like mushrooms or something, but it's like you're digging around in this tray of like all the things in the world, and you're picking out the most interesting ones you can. And like, if they don't fit together, you can throw one of them away or like keep it for later for something else. Like you really have a lot to play with. So my design process is like, it's like a lot of research and then really, really messy sketching, like just scribbling any kind of crazy shapes I can. And like, if I don't like a shape, just scribble over it and like, push everything as far as I can and as weird as I can. And that way you get, even if it's half of what you initially start with at the end, as in terms of like how far you push it, you'll still have something that's just a little bit more interesting and more eye-catching than if you were to just, like pursue that one path and go like, I'm just going to do the first thing I think of that's not that weird and like is kind of, normal. Because, that's fine too. But for me, the thrill is like finding the stuff that's really weird. And I think that's the same for both, for professional and personal work. Personal work is easier though, because I can just, I'll find something really weird, or a weird idea will just show up in my head and I'll start painting it. And then halfway through painting it, I'd be like, oh, it kind of actually looks like this is happening. So I'll just change it because I'm like, I like that more. It's like weirder. And like, so it evolves a lot while it goes along in my personal work. Versus professional, it's a little more, plan it out and get all your reference lined up until you're ready to start doing sketches and development. But for personal work, it's just crazy, and it just gets crazier, which is like the fun part.
Yeah, exactly. And have you ever seen works of like, artists or games of a Manisha designer studio? Like they did Summerust and Machinarium, I think. Do you know those games?
Maybe I'd have to look them up. What were the games again?
Summerust and Machinarium, or I think MACH.
Yes, yeah. I am very familiar with Machinarium.
Because you said mushrooms, and my first thought was those games, like even the studio, not necessarily Machinarium, but
no, but yeah, I see what you mean though. It's the vibe. The vibe, exactly. You get this when you pursue like that weirdness, and you go down rabbit holes and like tune stuff so it's really specific. You get what emerges is a voice, like something that your game has is just this essence that you can't get by formula. It has to come from human fascination, and you can feel it. So many good game studios have that. Like when you look at these games, like there's this like little bit of magic to them that is like, oh, it just has a voice where you can recognize it no matter where you see it. I really love that.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's fun to see.
I want to ask you about some of your works. First of all, I want to know if, by the way, if you're allowed to talk about it, if there's no NDAs.
Yeah.
What part of the whole Riot Games universe are you working on right now?
I'm an environment concept artist on Valorant. So
Ooh, awesome.
it's super fun style to work with, but there's a lot of limitation because it's a tactical shooter. So it's a pretty interesting challenge. But it's fun and I love it. It's
Yeah.
great.
And do you also play Valorant yourself?
I do. I started playing once I got hired on because, everyone on the team, like, they have fun playing it together, and they were a really cool team, and I was like, I want to be friends with these guys, and like, so I started playing the game, and I sucked at it at first, like, and like people are just talking smack, and I'm like doing super bad. I'm like, this sucks. But then like later, I realized I was like, I should probably try to get good at this because it'd be so much easier as a designer to just like know what a player's thinking when they play the game. And that way, when I'm designing something, I can like run in my head. I can pretend I'm playing the game and be like, is this going to work there from a gameplay standpoint? Like, it may be a cool design, like it may follow the design rules or whatever, but as a player, am I going to come around and be like, why is this cool thing here? Or like, is it too distracting? Does it need to be like minimized? I can understand that way better if I play the game. So yeah, I just started playing it now, and now I'm hooked on it. I play it all the time. Like,
Who's your main? That's an important question.
Cypher right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude, I love Sentinels. It's just fun. It actually,
Exactly.
it feels like you feel like a mastermind. You're like putting all my like tech everywhere and stuff.
Yeah, mine is actually Killjoy. Like,
oh yeah, nice,
yeah,
dude. Sentinel team.
It is so like, if you know how to do nice Killjoy lineups, it's so Sentinels are disgusting champs, but I love them.
Yeah, they're great, man.
Yeah, actually, now speaking of Valorant, now I haven't played it for 10 months. Yeah, I definitely miss it. Once I get my laptop working, I'll definitely install it first.
Nice, dude.
And
Nice.
actually, did you also work on the beta of the game as well?
I've only been here for a few months so far. So I wasn't working on the game before release. I only just started.
And are you aware of the Easter eggs on the maps that the artist put on each map? Are you aware of those?
Oh yeah.
Always.
Yeah. I can't talk about them too much, but I'm aware of them all. They showed me all the little things to look for when I started, and I was like, oh well. Now I see them everywhere.
Yeah, actually, all right. I'm not all right, since you don't want to talk about it too much, but I'm just going to say this: there are accounts on Twitter that are like, they're super deep. I think just masterminds. They like break down these Easter eggs and put them all together. Like that meme where there's this guy and just staring at the wall and say, "Look at
all the red string and stuff."
Exactly.
Yeah. I love seeing that. That's like what fuels my passion for working on the game, is like seeing people like trying to piece things together and like figure everything out, and like, like, oh, does this mean that this or this and that, and like actually catching on to stuff or not catching on. Like, sometimes you'll see people come out there and be like, I know exactly what's going on, and they're totally wrong. And it's like, it's great to feel like I'm getting to work on something that people can get that excited about. It's like, it's just such a good feeling.
Yeah, and the thing is, I actually, like, believe it or not, it's even on my highlighted stories of my Instagram page as well, my personal Instagram page. I used to get in camera mode, ghost mode in like practice mode of Valorant, and make some like adjustment and draw from reference, like, for environment art practice.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. Actually,
wow.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I haven't.
No, that's great, man.
Yeah, like, it's actually like, I pay it. I love games when the game devs pay close attention to details. I love that. I'm a sucker for that. Like, that sense of immersion, whether it be in sound design or environment design or art, like, researching the different words of, like, of foreign languages, like, just especially like my favorite map is actually the Cypher map, the desert map. You know that? You know the one?
Bind, I think.
Yeah. Yes, I think I forgot the names.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many details, like, even they pay attention to in the story, in terms of a storytelling, that you only find them out if you go in ghost mode. Like, there's rooms, oh, this place is a radionite, mining facility, or that.
Yeah.
Or,
there's a whole like yeah, it's so fun to see that there's stuff that has like you can't even see it when you're playing the game. You have to be in that like free cam mode to like go find it, and like knowing that there are people that want to is like it makes it so exciting for us to be like, what kind of little secret can we hide in here? Like how vague do we make it, or like how rewarding do we make it when someone finally finds that? It's like a whole meta game, you know, like
Exactly.
above the normal gameplay.
And the thing is, like, you know, the other thing that really fascinates me and I really love about the people who are working on Valorant, especially, is that like each patch they make a small change in the environment, and it tells the story of that change. Like, for example, the best example I could give, like, you know, in the I forgot all the map names. Oh, sorry, Icebox. Like in Icebox, first when it came out, Euro wasn't released back then. And the thing was, you know, there's his basically ancestor's corpse was there with the mask. And the next patch, when Euro got introduced, the mask was broken. It was radiant flowing, you know, like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and I love that it's like permanent changes too. You know, like that mask is never going to be whole again. You know, it's not like a thing that's like, oh, it's changed for a week and then it's back to normal or gone or something. It's like they leave little. It feels like it is the whole world kind of moves forward as they introduce new stuff, and they're like patching these little details that shift just a little bit, and it really makes it feel like it's alive, you know, like it doesn't just feel like, here, we dumped all these maps and just you playing them until the game dies. You know, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like everything is like waiting to show you something cool, which I really love.
And did you watch the music video of Die For You for Valorant?
Of course, man.
Let me actually tell you fun stuff. My previous guest was one of the main character artists on that music video. Yeah, do you know Saint Fox? Studio? Yes, yeah. Do you know Saint Fox on Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy, the episode 134, and I recorded it with Zoom in my home. But the problem was Zoom has a 40-minute limit, and I was so scared for it to run out in the middle of recording. Yeah. So I was like, all right, that's it. I can't risk it. I need to, you know, do episodes from now in different places. Like, you know, maybe the next. I actually have just one more episode scheduled aside from this. I might even do it at a school I can find, you know, or somewhere.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll find a way.
That's so cool. Yeah. I love that music video so much. I actually used to.
It gives me chills.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I used to watch. There were other projects by the animation studio. There were other projects they made that I watched like years ago before I even did concept art. Like there's a short film called Everything I Can See From Here that they made that is amazing and like weird and creepy. And I remember seeing that super long ago, and I just totally forgot about it. And then I was like, when I saw the Die For You music video, we got to see it a little early because, you know, we're internal, but I was like, who is this animation studio? I was like, this is so good. Why haven't I seen these guys before? And I go to look up their website, and I'm like, I'm working on a project that has something to do with these guys that got me into the industry. Like they got me inspired to get into stuff. Like that just got me so excited. I don't know. It was really cool. But I love that video. I love everything that studio makes. It's like all amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Riot actually collaborates with a lot of like, you know, amazing studios. Like I think one of the other ones is Six More Vodka from Russia, I think.
Yeah, dude. Six More Vodka is awesome.
Yeah, they do a lot of cool stuff. I love their artworks.
Mm-hmm. And those the splash arts they do for League are so. Oh, I'm so jealous of that polish. It's so clean, man.
Yeah, and all right, next question is actually usually gives me a lot of like, you know, interesting stories and the responses is how did you get your first paycheck out of art, like doing anything art related?
I mean, paycheck or just like, you know, like someone paid me $20 to draw something.
Yep, that could work as well.
That counts too? Okay. That's a lot more interesting. Let me think. It must have been. I used to, when I was in high school, I used to do commissions for people online all the time. But I don't remember what my first one was. But they were all just like, you know, like character commissions from people. And like, I'm trying so hard to remember what the first one was. I don't know if I could do it. It's definitely character. It was definitely before I was like comfortable doing environments. I wish I had a more interesting story, but I don't remember what the earliest one I did was.
Yeah, it's fine. And well, I want to ask you something else. Who are your
Okay.
favorite artists and designers that have inspired you the most? I know that's a tricky question.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I think it's it's so hard to say because there's so many that like really inspire me, and it's always changing. You know, like sometimes I'll be super inspired by one person, and I'll get kind of sick of it and be like, okay, I need to get inspired by somebody else right now. But like right now, it's probably like I'd say Sergei Kolsov is amazing, and him and probably I would say Sid Mead. You can never go wrong with Sid Mead. So like I'd say those two. Like I think there's something about I think I like Sid Mead's design, and I like Sergei Kolsov's just he's just unafraid to be weird and expressive, you know, especially recently. His recent stuff has gotten so abstract and like strange and like almost impulsive. Like he just goes with these weird directions where you're like, nobody else would go there. And like, but he's like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to make it look great. And like, that's just really inspiring to me. Like that kind of sense of voice that's so strong.
All right.
I really look up to that. Like I kind of awe of those guys. Like,
What about
it's
Keith
insane.
Thompson? You
Oh,
mentioned him.
Keith Thompson, man, that's a good point. But the problem is, like Keith Thompson, I think a lot of his work is like NDA or something. Because ever since I was in sixth grade, I check his website like once every like 6 months. I'm just like, maybe there's new stuff. There hasn't been new stuff in a while, so I'm assuming either his website he just like isn't worried about it right now, or like all his stuff is NDA or something. But like he's definitely a huge inspiration from me as a kid. But like I feel like my voice has changed as an artist, you know, since I started down this path. And like as much as I love his work, like he's not what I draw from anymore, you know?
And all right, now the next question is, I mean, of course, we can skip this question right past this question if you're not comfortable. Don't worry, it's nothing personal.
Okay. No. I'm curious.
Yeah. Is there any what project are you working on right now? I mean, I'm saying this because of course there's NDAs involved all the time, but if there's any NDA involved, how about your personal projects? Are you
Right.
working on any personal projects you can tell us about?
Yes. Well, okay. As far as NDA goes, I'm just working on new maps for Valorant, but that's no secret. Everyone knows there's new Valorant maps that happen. But for personal projects, yes, I for the past couple of years, I've been writing an anthology of short stories that I want to illustrate. So I want to have them be somewhere between like a picture book and a graphic novel. And it's been such a slow project because originally I wrote a whole plan out and everything. I was like, this was a couple years ago. I was like, I'm going to finish this in 3 years and I can do it. And I set up these 6-month milestones where I was like, okay, first 6 months, I'm going to have all of my ideas for stories set up. Next set of 6 months, I'm going to have them all outlined. And then I'm going to have them all written out with the dialogue and the narration, whatever writing I'm going to have in there. Then I'm going to have them all storyboarded, right? And then like character designed, all that stuff. And I had it all laid out and I was going to get it done in 3 years. But that was 2 years ago. And I've yet to start the bulk of it because I finished writing all the stories. And then I got to the character design point where I was like, okay, it's time to actually start, you know, designing these worlds, doing concept sketches and stuff. And I got too scared. I was like, what if I don't like this? What if I like get into this groove and I'm doing it for like a couple years and then I have all this work and then I feel like I'm not as interested and the only reason I want to keep going is because I've already done all this work. I don't want to do that because it's a personal project, right? I want it to be passion fueled. So what I'm working on right now is I wrote a new story and I just want to do one and I just want to make it like my test run, right? Like I just want it to be like, let's see if I actually enjoy illustrating these stories that I've written. And if I do, then I'm going to commit to the full book and like try to get it published and, you know, in a few years, try to have like that be a new kind of career avenue. So right now it's all written out. And I just started doing the storyboards for it. So just all these weird page layouts. I'm trying to go super weird with it because I don't want it to feel like someone's paying me to do their project. I want it to really be like an embodiment of my weirdness, my like, oh, I'm going to go down the weird rabbit hole again. I'm doing that for like every single part of it. So it's like, it's pretty exciting. Not sure how long it's going to end up being yet, though. it's probably going to be pretty short.
Yeah, keep us posted, though, you know, on that if anything happened.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I will be updating people as soon as I have any pages of it done. I think I want to like post previews or something like just so that people know that there's like a cool thing because I've been posting less paintings online. Just because I've been spending more time on this project. I don't want people to think that I'm like getting burnt out or something. So I want to share something soon, eventually, but I don't know how soon. I can't say in confidence.
All right. And what area beside the area you're working on right now, which is art? I mean, you kind of mentioned music, but aside from those, what other main hobbies do you have? Like, what are you interested to, you know, pursue later, you know, like, you know, get good at it or something?
Recently, I've been spending a lot of time with my girlfriend, which is nice, because it's like, it doesn't need to be like a hobby that I'm getting good at, you know, it's just like, I've had this bad habit of spending a lot of time only doing art and music and like trying to be productive all the time. And recently I've just been trying to take more time to just like, you know, relax, like go on dates and stuff. But, the one thing that I recently started learning Korean, and because I've always wanted to be bilingual, because you know I feel so like I only know English and I've only known English, and it sucks. Like I'm just curious to get into the nitty gritty and figure out how other languages work. Mainly because you know if I ever want to do more cool world building stuff in the future, I want to know like other cultures and I want to know other languages and like I want to know about places that are different than California where I've spent like my whole life speaking English. It's like I don't know. I need a bit of a shake up there. So I've been learning Korean and I've been doing some music stuff. I got this microphone recently, so I've just been like humming into I use a music program called Logic, and I've just been like humming a line into Logic and then like going back and recording over it and like humming a harmony to it and just building like really big chords that sound super weird. And it's like, it's just fun. It's like, I never have to share that with anybody. It's just like this weird thing that I can be like, whoa, that's crazy. But like, it's cool. It's like that and movies and video games. That's like, you know, everything, man. It's like my whole life is just like art and music stuff. So it's, I can't say I have hobbies outside of art because they're all kind of art tangential, but I don't know. They get pretty far away. Like once I'm learning Korean, I think I'm distancing myself a little bit, which is good. You know.
Awesome. And yeah, I think I heard that Hangul alphabet is pretty easy to actually catch up on, right?
Yeah, it's super intuitive. Like it's way easier than the English alphabet if I like look at them objectively. But you know, it's just hard for me because my brain is not wired for it. It's like, it's so tricky. It's like, I feel like a baby again, like looking at a word and having to sound it out, you know, like I'm in kindergarten. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah,
But it is intuitive.
oh yeah, I definitely heard that. There was even a 5 minute YouTube video that explained Hangul like in 5 minutes, the basic
Yeah.
of it. It had like I think 14 to 7 million views, and yeah,
Nice.
I mean I think I saw that a couple of years ago. And well, we've reached the final question and section of the podcast, which is called Final Words, and I'm going to explain what it means.
Okay.
Imagine right now, in this frame of time that we're speaking, for anyone who is listening to this podcast in the future, I don't know when will I be able to actually edit and upload it, but maybe a couple of weeks, months, years, decades, centuries, who knows?
Okay.
And for anyone who might be talking to your future, and you have this opportunity right now to tell them from a human to another human being anything you want, from Adrian Bush, what would he say at this position?
I would say, if there is anybody out there who wants to do artwork like this, like production art for movies or video games or books, illustration, whatever, do not be afraid to follow your instincts and explore yourself and embrace your own weirdness. Don't listen when people tell you that something you work on is not going to work with industry standard, because if you love it, you're going to find a place that you fit eventually. And that's something that I think a lot of people need to hear, because I see a lot of artists have their growth stunted by people who are trying to show them the right way. Because sometimes if someone tells you like, oh, you're not going to get a job in video games unless you know photo bashing or unless you're really good at 3D, like I heard that a lot when I was at school, and I freaked out about it. It like totally broke me down. And I just want those people to know, like, I'm not good at photo bashing. I don't do 3D, and I work at Riot Games now, which I think is a pretty big accomplishment. And like, it just goes to show that the important thing is to, when you get that tingle that you really love something, that's the stuff you got to follow. And it doesn't matter what it is or what other people think about it. That's the stuff that you got to follow, because it'll naturally get you impassioned, and you'll naturally start practicing more and more, and it'll snowball, and then you'll become a master at it. You can't become a master at something if it's not where your heart's going. If your heart's pulling you somewhere else, it's going to hold you back. So that's what I would say.
All right, awesome. That was actually such a deep thing, man. Thank you.
So?
That's actually that's actually the main philosophy behind this. Like, the way I present the questions, because I don't tell the guests beforehand, because I want their intuitive and actually some conscious answer from.
I really like that.
Yeah, because
really
if you know, like, for example, especially about the question of favorite artists, most people get kind of like stunned, like they don't know how to answer, because everyone remembers their artist by their works, not their names.
Yeah, right.
But still, they come up with like 2 or 3. That 2 or 3 is the important ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. I think it's really cool. Not that I didn't get any like prep. Like
exactly.
It makes it way easier to be genuine.
And well, thank you so much for coming by, and thank you to anyone who tuned in and listened. And also thank my friend, as I said, Arman Shahsaman. He's a chess coach. Go check him out if you're interested. Thank to everyone who tuned in and listened. If there was any suggestions or comments or anything, just leave them down in the comments as usual, or you can hit me a message on the podcast page as well. And yeah, take care, everyone. Till next episode. Nice. I might be in a different setup for next episode, so it's going to be a surprise each episode for now, since I don't have a system right now. So yeah, keep an eye for that. And yeah, this is actually for February 1st. Today we recorded on February 1st, but who knows, when will this episode be recorded and uploaded. So, just wanted to, give it heads up. All right. So take care, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.
Cheers, guys.